In this video, we will be walking through an example of creating a checklist item, assigning it to volunteers, and updating it as volunteers complete the item. If you have not watched our Introduction to Checklists video, please go back and watch that first. It will help you better understand the features discussed in this video. The item that we are going to be using today as an example is requiring volunteers to return their intake forms within 2 months of when they create their profile. To build in this task as a checklist item, click on Checklist Item Inventory Management under the Attribute Management heading on the main dashboard. At the top of the page, enter Volunteer Intake Form as the checklist item name. You do not have to add a description, but if you do, it will be included as an info box for your volunteers. For this item, I am going to add a description of what is included in the form. Next, under Auto Assign, choose Yes. Every volunteer needs to complete this item, so it will be automatically added to new profiles when they are created. For type, select Public so that volunteers will be able to see the status of this item on their profile. Since I want my volunteers to turn this in to me within 2 months from the day I assign it to their profile, I will select 2 months as the due date. Lastly, I'd like to recognize volunteers for their work in completing the item, so I'll select a linked award for them to receive once the item has been completed and updated on their profile. Finally, click Add Checklist Item to create it. Any new volunteer profile will have this item automatically assigned to them, but if there are volunteers already in your system, you can assign it to an individual or multiple profiles at once. If you want to assign it to one volunteer, hover over Volunteers on the navigation bar at the top of the page and click on Search Manage Volunteer Database. Search for the volunteer in question and click the Manage Checklist button to the left of the volunteer's name. From here, you can choose to assign it to their profile using the Item Status dropdown. Select Update Volunteer Checklist and it will be added to their profile. Note that the due date is automatically assigned based on the time frame of 2 months that we set for the item. Once the volunteer has returned the form, you can mark it as complete. Optionally, add an expiration date or any notes, and then select Update Volunteer Checklist. You can also update checklists for multiple volunteers. From the Volunteer Management dashboard, select the volunteers that you would like to update by clicking the checkbox next to their names, then choose Update Selected Volunteers from the Bulk Actions menu. Check the box next to Volunteer Checklist Item and click Select Items to Bulk Update at the bottom of the page. From here, choose the Volunteer Intake Form item and change the status to Assigned, then click Update Volunteer Information. After confirmation, the system will assign this item to each selected volunteer and set the due date 2 months from the date assigned. You can follow similar steps to mark an item as completed if multiple volunteers turn in their forms on the same day.